and welcome back to the channel and a brand new video, and this should be, fingers crossed, the final episode on this Volkswagen Golf R rebuild project. Now if you missed the previous episodes, please go back in the channel and check those out, because we've come a long way from when we collected this Volkswagen Golf. If you did miss those videos, just a quick recap: I picked up this car super cheap from a salvage auction, and the reason it was in a salvage auction was because, let's just say, it looked like it had driven straight into a lamppost. Now, just like with any salvage rebuild, you learn very quickly that although you get the major parts of the car complete, there's so many little niggly bits that get left behind. So that's what I want to get buttoned up in this video and hopefully go against a little rival over there. Right, so we've got a whole list of things to get through on this video. To begin with, this driver rear wheel, as you can see, it's had a massive chunk taken out. I assume when the car mounted the curb to get to the lamppost that it ultimately hit, it must have taken a chunk out of the wheel when it smashed against the curb. It's a very common thing with these Pret wheels. Apparently they're very weak and even potholes can crack them and whatnot, so we need to get that replaced. The second thing on the list is this splash guard. I haven't put that on yet, but I ordered a brand new one from TPS and that is in now, so we need to get that on. Third thing on this list is the underguard. I haven't put the underguard on yet, so we need to get the car jacked up and the underguard put in place. And last but not least is these buttons that are missing on the steering wheel. It's really annoying when you're driving, and apparently it's a very common issue when the airbags blow on the Golf Rs, the GTIs and the GTDs. A very common issue. Usually you can find the caps in the car somewhere, because when the explosion blows them off, they're in the car somewhere. I can't find them anywhere, so I've gone ahead and ordered new buttons from abroad. And once those jobs are done, we should be 100%, and I think, don't write it off against our little beast over there. On paper, that should be a lot quicker, but I've got a sneaky feeling this little pocket rocket has been remapped. So I want to get the easy jobs out of the way first. This wheel I have picked up from Facebook Marketplace. I paid £110 for it. On top of that, it was a grey wheel when I picked it up, so I've had it refurbished in the gloss black like the original wheel. So because I want to keep the tyres exactly the same, they're Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tyres, which are very nice. I'm going to go ahead, go to the tyre shop, get the original tyre, put onto this new rim and then back onto the car. With that nice and easy job out of the way, we can move on to the underguard. Now quickly realise before the underguard can go in, we need a front lower spoiler which clips into the front bumper, so the front bumper is coming off once again. Very easy to do, one torque spit either side going into the wing. Once that's unclipped, there's two torque spits under where the grille sits. Once the bumper's unclipped, we can undo the wiring harness and the washer jets. Here is the new used front spoiler. As you can see, it's quite fiddly to get clipped in. I could have potentially done this whilst the bumper was on the car if I had a ramp, but because I was working on the floor, I thought spending that extra 5 minutes just to get the bumper removed, it'd be a lot easier doing it whilst it's off the car. And with that spoiler clipped in nice and securely, the bumper can go back onto the car. And fingers crossed that's the last time this bumper needs to come off, because I don't want to risk any damage on that fresh paint job. The same procedure we used to take the bumper off, the bumper's going back on, so the 4 torque spits and the grille can just snap into place. Now I couldn't get a good camera angle for you guys to see what I'm doing here, but essentially the front of that underguard slips into that new front lower spoiler we fitted, and here's an illustration of the 7 torque spit screws that secure it to the car. Now we're really battling the weather out here. 1 minute it's sunny and then all of a sudden it's pouring down with rain. So whilst it's stopped raining for a little while, let's quickly get the car jacked up, get this driver side wheel off and get this splash guard on. So it just won't stop raining out here, but that's okay because we're on to the interior parts. Like I said earlier, we need to get these buttons replaced because our caps have blown off. Now shout out to the viewer who sent me these all the way from Sweden. He done them for a great price. I think at TPS they go for about £300. He actually sold them brand new to me for £60 plus a £5 for shipping. So £65, bought in these brand new buttons, and that means we need to get this airbag out again and then try and figure out how these buttons actually come out of the steering wheel and replace it for these ones. And I should mention, because we're working around the airbag and we're going to take the airbag out, I have already disconnected the battery, so no risk of this exploding in my face. Now that was super easy. I was expecting it to be a lot trickier to take this trim off, but it turned out a lot easier than I thought. After taking the airbag out, which we're very used to now because we changed the whole airbag kit in episode 1, that was very simple. Just with a flat screwdriver, pry the airbag off. And then after that, we had this trim, and you just carefully pull away. And you see these pegs here, they just one by one pop out of this foam. So now just very simply 3 little Torx bits on each side. And then we can get the new buttons replaced with that one. Now that was so much easier than I thought it'd be. I was expecting to be out here for a good hour. That must have taken under 10 minutes. Really surprised at how quick that was. Nice and easy, and now hopefully when we connect the battery I can now use the buttons to do my volume and cruise control, because we never had those buttons before. Now I know we haven't done a price breakdown on this build yet, but that is what's next, because as far as I can see this car is 100% complete. Those buttons there were the last thing that we had to get buttoned up before this car was completely done. Okay, so every time you disconnect the battery on this car, it does a strange thing and all these warning lights come on. I know it's normal and once you start driving they go, but one warning that doesn't go in the background of things is the steering angle sensor. I think whenever you take the airbag out, that code is stored in the system. So I'm going to go ahead, plug the VCDS in and get all the codes cleared, and then we should be 100%. And there you have it, the car is 100% complete. From the outside it's looking absolutely beautiful, and we've got our snag list 100% complete. So we've got our steering wheel buttons, we've got the new alloy on the back, we've got all the underguards, the splash guards, everything is complete. And now to get on to the part that everyone wants to know. How much did the car cost? How much did all the parts cost me? How much were the MOTs, the paint, the lot? So I've made a nice little list. Let's find a good place to pull over and we'll go through that list now. I think you'll be surprised how cheap this car really was. Right, just look at the car out in the sun. It's a shame it doesn't have a panoramic roof because it's absolutely beautiful. But let's get onto the price list. How much did I pay for this car? The car itself from auction 4 or 5 weeks ago, with the delivery charge, it came to a total of £7,960. I couldn't believe it when I won it. It was a random bid that I just threw in at around 7,200 with the fees and recovery, delivered £7,960. Then we go on to the first thing that we changed on this car. It was the airbag kit. I bought the complete kit, which include the dashboard, the steering wheel airbag, both seat belts, and actually both curtain airbags, which we have one spare, the passenger side, so I could even sell that. But the airbag kit came to £400. Once the interior was complete and the main airbags were replaced, we moved on to the front end damage, starting with the slam panel. The slam panel came from eBay for £90 delivered. Then the crash bar, which goes around the slam panel, came to another £90, so £180 for the two. And then we had the two headlight brackets that go on top of the headlights. They came to £15 each, so £30 for the pair. That was the central part of things. Then we went on to the driver's side, which was actually where the impact hit. We had the auxiliary radiator that came to £110 with the cowl that comes around it. Once we had the radiators on and we had the slam panel on, we needed coolant to go into the system. The big bottle of coolant came to £15. So we had the driver's headlight that came to £220. Luckily the passenger side was savable, it wasn't damaged at all, the brackets were fine and it works absolutely fine, so there was no need to change the passenger side. Then our washer bottle was cracked. At the bottom it was completely cracked, it wouldn't hold any water, there was no chance of gluing it or anything like that, so I just went ahead and ordered a new one. That came from eBay as well, £40. That came with the bottle itself and the neck at the top, which was really cheap. They actually included the motor. I didn't need the motor, but it was nice and easy just to plug the old one out and plug the new one in. Then before we could put the bumper on, we had the bumper bracket which goes under the grille, and we also had all the cowls, the radiator cowls, so the air guides that go in the bumper. That came to £50 for the lot. That was from TPS, the dealers directly. Then of course our bonnet was completely unsavable, and while we were changing the bonnet I thought it's a good idea just to change the hinges as well. So the bonnet came to £100 and then the pair of hinges were £40, so £140 for the bonnet and the hinges. So once the bonnet was replaced and everything behind the bumper was replaced, we could go ahead and put the bumper skin on. I managed to save most of the grills from the old bumper, so that saved us a lot of money because those lip gloss black grills can be quite expensive. The front bumper came from eBay, it was just a bare skin for £220. It was in the wrong colour because this metallic night blue paint is really rare, and the chances of finding a new bumper or a used bumper in that colour was virtually impossible. We had to paint the wings anyway, so there was no need to get a matching colour bumper. Once the bumper was on, there was no way of saving the two grills, they were completely smashed in the accident. So the upper grill came to £60 and the lower grill, which is the bigger one in the bumper, that came to £90. Then we get onto this video, the snag list. So we had the driver's seat first, that came to £60 like I said earlier in the video. The alloy and the refurb for the new alloy came to £150. The under tray was £40. The splash guard was £45. And the steering wheel buttons came to £60 plus £5 postage, so £65 for that. That brings our parts total to £1,915. Once we had all the parts, we of course had to have the car painted. So I had the two wings, the bonnet and the front bumper, and also the rear bumper as well. We had all that painted and that came to £450, which is quite ridiculous because that works out to under £100 a panel, which was really cheap. And for the finish we got, I'm not complaining. And then of course we had to get the car driving straight. Every time a car has a knock, 9 times out of 10 the tracking's going to be out, so we went ahead and got the tracking done. It was a 4-wheel alignment. Usually they go around £60 or £70, but I have a friend who owns a garage and the 4-wheel alignment came to £30. Once the tracking was done and the car was driving 100% straight, we went ahead and got it road legal by getting a MOT done, and that came to another £30. And could you believe this smashed car had no advisories on the MOT? Right, so with all that being said, we got a 2016 Golf R DSG with ACC, DCC, Dyne Audio, 19-inch Pretoria alloys, with only 50,000 miles on the clock for a total of £10,385. I'm not complaining. For 10,000, just above £10,000 to have a car looking like this in the sun, looking absolutely beautiful. It's such a rewarding feeling going through the whole journey. When the car was delivered, it was a very daunting process. Seeing the car absolutely obliterated on the driveway, having around £8,000 in the car, I had no idea if we could get it done, but I've got no experience of this. You've seen we've done the standard Golf, we've done the Focus ST. They were sub £5,000 cars. We had to double that with this build. So it was something new, but we got it done. The car is absolutely beautiful. And if we can beat that Audi RS3 later on, I will be mad impressed. £10,000 can beat an Audi RS3, I will not be complaining. I'm super proud. Just out of curiosity, let's see what the car's worth on the open market. I'll be keeping the car for a long time because you will not find this kind of enjoyment from any other £10,000 car. Now, before you all go hurling abuse at me, oh, you overpaid for that car. No way is that car worth £10,000. I did buy this vehicle just before the performance vehicles market really crashed. So although I probably paid a bit more than I would have if I bought one now, let's load up Auto Trader and see what they're going for. Sorting from low to high like all of us do when we're searching for a new car, and as you can see, the cheapest one on the market is in red, £15,500, and it has 0 spec. All up from there, quickly going up to 16,000. This one here is very similar to mine. It's the same paint code. It has the Pretoria alloys. It doesn't have DCC suspension setup, but it is retailing for £18,000. But I hope you've enjoyed the series. It's been about 4 or 5 episodes of this Golf R, but we finally got there in the end. So if you did enjoy the video, please drop a comment, like, share, subscribe. I'm not a professional, like I've said throughout this series, I'm not a professional, I'm just giving it a go, and I hope you're learning alongside with me. Now, for you guys that stuck around to the end, we're on our way to Mexico now, and we're gonna see what's gonna happen against an Audi RS3. The RS3 is triple the money, it should be more power, we've got a weight advantage, but let's see what happens. Here we go. Wow. 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 Oh my god! Wow! Wow, and he's still not catching. Faster than an RS3. A £10,000 damaged Golf R just swept an Audi RS3.